Ricegum, aka 𝕴𝖓𝖙𝖊𝖃, was born on November 19th, 1996 to Vietnamese and Chinese parents living in Las Vegas, Nevada. He began his turbulent career on YouTube, which would later cement himself in both fame and infamy, from humble beginnings to a collapsing channel, and being hated by the internet at large. How did Ricegum kickstart one of the fastest rises on YouTube, and an even faster downfall? The audience's perception of Ricegum changed in the eyes of the media. He went from being loved for roasting people based on their cringy spoiled behavior, to becoming one himself. Did his fall come suddenly, or was there an emerging pattern of missteps that would eventually spell his demise? From his humorous, lighthearted roasting videos to flexing on the people who brought him up, he would become the person he would once denounce early in his career on YouTube. How did it all go wrong, and what made his once prosperous career come crashing down over the span of a few years? Ricegum was just your average teen with aspirations of being a big YouTuber. He would start off making COD videos during 2012, trying to find anything that would make him stand out. He would be happy that people were even watching his content to begin with, and he would cultivate a small audience, and his channel would not see much progress. He would live stream and just grow steadily, and he would start blogging at the right time, as people were curious to know about the life of a social media influencer. Rice would strike gold when he would start his new series called These Kids Must Be Stopped, which would become his main source of content. He would clown the cringy kids that did stuff normal kids should not be doing.
I don't know if you guys heard it. This fucker just said, "I'll be drunk texting you." I did some research. This fool is 13. He'll be drunk texting. I didn't even text at the age of 13, let alone drunk text. I mean, I don't know if he knows what that means by drunk texting. I mean, yeah, you guys are like, Rice, man, he's just a little kid hanging, just trying to make some good videos. I mean, it gets worse, but I mean, just seriously though, drunk texting, come on. There's so many songs to pick from. You can do.
And yeah, not much has changed at all. His main target were kids from Musical.ly and Instagram. Would roast them for anything, and this was a big hit, since people saw this new way of kids as cringy, which to be fair was full of fatherless behavior. Most of the kids he would choose were low-hanging fruit kids, like Jacob Sartorius and Lauren Betch, would be targets of his first few videos, but he would later implement something to his content that was received well by his fan base. He would later implement diss tracks into his videos, which were something people would love and people would wait to watch who he would roast next. At the time, people only viewed it as content that made him funny, and no one ever considered him to be a musician, which to be fair, now listening back to his diss tracks, were hot garbage. Rice would start shit with people, and then he would respond to them, and it would just become a feedback loop for Rice, since he would either start beef with someone and they would respond, or other people would call him out. He would grow during this point, and soon he would hit his first milestone with 100k subs, and he would quickly gain more and more subs at a fast rate, with his content raking in views in the millions, and he would do well during 2016, would be among the top creators who made a name off of bullying children on the internet. He would get called out by both the kids he roasted and famous YouTubers like 𝕊𝖊𝖃, and he would be on the top of the world, having one of the most popular channels on YouTube, and he was not exempt from controversy, so he would get into controversy for staging a beef with 𝕊𝖃𝑇ube, another YouTuber who would fake the beef to call out social media's vulture-like behavior when it came to drama. But it seems ironic that 𝕊𝖃𝑇ube chose the wrong person to work with, knowing that Ricegum's career was started off with fake beef. To be fair, at the time, I felt like it was done for attention, and it was under the guise of exposing the media. It feels like it was a valid criticism to the internet for the thrill, but it came off as a holier-than-thou, which felt like he was not fully on board with what he was preaching. I don't know how to explain it, it just came off as fake. But, besides the media stunt, Ricegum would go back to his normal content of roasting. Ricegum would start to become more full of himself and would start letting his ego get to him. People would be privy to his more egotistical side. He was still charismatic and well-liked by his audience, which was comprised of kids who thought they were cool for hating trends. But due to his credit, he did make entertaining videos before he became obsessed with views. It no longer became about making views for the fun of it, which is understandable. If I was in a similar situation, I would take content creation a little more seriously in order to make a living. Ricegum accidentally foreshadowed his biggest exposed video. He would call out iDubbbz during the peak of the infamous Content Cop series, in which Ricegum would make a throwaway video, basically baiting iDubbbz into a response. He would boldly exclaim that he had nothing to fear because of his success, there was nothing to talk about. But during this time, he would move out from his old house and move into the Cloud House with FaZe Banks and other content creators in LA. From here, he would indulge in more and more drama. He would be accused by Gabby Hanna of hitting her. The story started innocent during a party where Gabby would pester Ricegum for a rap battle on Snapchat, and he would mess around with her, but didn't agree to it due to, well, wanting to chill at a party. It was understandable that he wanted to enjoy his afternoon peacefully, and suddenly, having a camera shoved into his face without his consent or any prior warning would irritate anyone. Ricegum responded by wrestling with her and taking her phone and smashing it to bits, which was a bit of an overreaction from Ricegum. But Hanna would claim that Rice had basically beat her and destroyed her phone, and people were initially against Rice and called him a woman beater, which would destroy his reputation. For the record, Ricegum did assault Gabby by wrestling with her and broke her phone. That is considered property damage, as well as assault, but he didn't hit her. Hanna used this as an opportunity to gain more exposure at the cost of Rice's reputation. And people were initially against Rice and called him a woman beater, which would destroy his reputation, but would later explain that Hanna was lying to people and was not telling the whole story. Yet, she expected people to just believe her word without questioning others. This was a cunning plan that Hanna did in order to gain more popularity, and it would have destroyed his career until people would come out saying that he did not hit Hanna, and Rice would make a response alongside a diss track. Gabby would try to reignite the flames by doubling down and calling Rice's character into question, but he would not respond. People thought that he was in the right, which is stupid, since this happened because he let his temper get the best of him. And both sides are wrong as well for being stupid for even getting out of hand. So during 2017, Ricegum would start flexing to his audience about how much money he was spending, and people would start to question Ricegum since his overinflated ego was on full display. There seems to be a dissonance when he would call out other YouTubers who were considered douchebags, whilst he was being one himself. Later on, he would join 𝕴𝖓𝖊𝖙 and make his biggest diss track on Jake Paul and the now defunct Team 10 during their peak. The diss track actually peaked on the Billboard, which is insane to think about. The video has 198 million views to this day. It brings up a lot of old memories to remind me of how insane the internet used to be. But that beef was more between Jake Paul and the 𝕴𝖓𝖊𝖙. Rice just inserted himself into the mess and made a lot of money off it. During this time, he would get into more drama when iDubbbz actually responded to Ricegum and called him out for becoming an egocentric person after actually becoming famous. The once humble teen would change, which can be shown during his first and last milestone video, where the first one he was grateful of the people who helped him get to where he was, and his last one he would disregard his fans and just boast. This did not sit right with people, and soon they would turn on him. After iDubbbz's Content Cop video, he would become one of the most hated YouTubers, being compared to the Paul brothers as narcissistic influencers who only cared about himself. So he would take a hit from the Content Cop and people would slowly turn on him. His channel would start to slow down as people thought it was lame that a grown-ass man was picking on children, and it wouldn't be too long before he would get into controversy for his behavior. Rice would go to China and basically show how ignorant and disrespectful he was as a tourist. People would compare this trip to that of the Paul brothers in Italy. People on the internet would make their frustration known and call him out as an asshole who didn't deserve his success and how he changed even though he said he did never change. During the response to the trip, he would not apologize and felt no remorse about his misdeeds. Ricegum soon became the villain of the internet and would start to lose the public constantly, shoving price tags in people's faces and showing off his lavish lifestyle. His videos became clickbait, and he would call out people who would sneak diss him or throw shade at him. His content became lazy over time, and people were not fond of him, as well as shitting on people with smaller fan bases, calling them irrelevant. But the thing that would worsen his reputation was when he would lean into a scam. He would be sponsored by Mr. Brand in 2019, and he would promote gambling to his young audience. During the video, he would gamble and he would make it a point to tell his fans that there's no losing if you keep gambling, which is far from the truth.
An option to sell it back to get the money, so like, there's no losing in this, because even if you get an item that you don't like, you just sell it back. Here we go. Hey guys, so I sold it back for like $1,000, which is so weird because I bought a $100 box, but I got $1,000 shoe out of it, so I got some profit.
People would be quick to call him out for his misleading tactics, as well as making gambling appealing by having a high win rate. So his young and impressionable audience took the bait. He would make a response video where he would shift the blame off himself and call out other YouTubers who were involved in the scam. He never made a sincere apology, he would rat out others. He would make it a point to call them irrelevant, and he would only care about numbers, not really caring about how his actions affect his fans. Ricegum became a lifeless YouTuber who only saw his community as a check and was not once remorseful about his terrible actions, and this sponsorship solidified his intentions. He would also start to lose traction. He was still getting good views, but his slower upload schedule, money hunger demeanor, and his narcissistic attitude would drive people away. So in return, he became more and more desperate to keep the fans, so he would incorporate his many relationships into videos, and people were just done. He would later have minor beef with KSI, a former member of the Clout House, who would make a stupid claim saying that KSI's girlfriend was a waste of clout.
Waste of clout, bro. Like, you guys date normal girls.
Huh?
What the fuck have I just listened to?
Which made it clear to us that only numbers mattered to Ricegum, which was confusing to both KSI and the internet. So then Ricegum would get involved in a crypto scam where he would join a project called Save the Kids, which was presented as a crypto investment that would use a part of its profits to help children. FaZe Clan members like FaZe Jarvis, FaZe K, and even Sam Pepper were involved people. CoffeeZilla would expose the whole scheme as a scam, and people would direct their hate to Ricegum, even though he wasn't as involved as people like Sam Pepper and FaZe K. He was still an ambassador that promoted a scam. He would take to streaming and would have some streams going on, but would decide to stop eventually. He would go silent after a while on all social media platforms for a very long time, until a few weeks ago, which made me want to talk about it. In this video, he would give us an update on his life, talking about his pregnancy, and he was preparing to have a baby girl with his girlfriend. But sadly, his child was a stillborn, and that must have been an awful thing to go through. No matter how awful he was in the past, he didn't deserve this. The video was received well by people, and they expressed their condolences in the comments. But people used this as fuel to shit on him for his past behavior. Other people on social media said that his baby deserved to die. This was very sick and disgusting behavior from people on the internet. No one deserves this kind of pain, even for a person who was an asshole at one point. But people did this shit for attention, and these people are disgusting for milking the situation. The family must have been grieving, and people were being insensitive for Ricegum's dead baby. Even if people are terrible, they deserve a second chance. Ricegum has had a turbulent career, but he deserved his chance to be happy, but people can't hold themselves back. It comes full circle since at one point Ricegum did things for clout, and now people are clowning on him for clout. Ricegum was not the only one driven to do shit for attention and numbers, since people on the internet are willing to do what he used to do for the 5 seconds of fame. In conclusion, Ricegum experienced a rollercoaster ride in his career on YouTube. From his humble beginnings and early success in roasting cringy behavior, he rose to fame and infamy, only to face a rapid downfall. Throughout his journey, the perception of Ricegum shifted from a beloved content creator to someone who embodied the very behavior he once denounced. While Ricegum's past actions were certainly problematic, it is important to remember that nobody deserves such pain and grief. The insensitivity and cruelty displayed by some individuals in response to his personal tragedy only highlights the darker side of the internet. It is a stark reminder that people are willing to do anything for attention and clout, even at the expense of someone's deep sorrow. Ricegum's career serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of fame, ego, and losing touch with one's audience. Despite his missteps, it is essential to recognize the humanity in each individual and offer compassion in the face of tragedy. If you're new to the channel, give it a like and subscribe for more content.